Good morning to everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you are. So, welcome to this webinar. So, today we are going to talk about Oracle Global Order Promising and how it can be used to optimize your order fulfillment. So, before we start, let me give a brief introduction about NexInfo. So, NexInfo is a consulting company for both small and large companies across diverse range of industries. We are a global company with the ability to provide services across US and Europe. We opened up a business in 1999. We have been an industry leader for the last 22 years with a wealth of knowledge and experience in software consulting services such as business process design, software implementations, SaaS solutions, and business analytics. Our domain expertise across all Oracle products. We are a certified Oracle partner and have partnerships with Microsoft, SAP, Vanguard, and RFGen, and many more. Last but not the least, NexInfo has been recognized by many firms such as Gartner and other industry forums. We have received many accolades from Silicon Review, CI Review, Inc. 100, and more. A little bit introduction of myself. My name is Rahul Phatak. I'm an Oracle ERP and Cloud Practice Leader at NexInfo. I have 20 plus years of experience and specialize in business transformation, solution design, program management, and change management. I've extensively worked in ERP, both in finance and supply chain domains, as well as HCM or human capital management. I'm a certified Oracle specialist with vast experience in Oracle EBS, and for the last 4 or 5 years, I have been doing transformation projects in Oracle Cloud and across multiple industry domains. So I have here with Bhagya. I'm going to turn it over to her and she will introduce herself. And I'll turn on her webcam off so that a little bit of distraction is taken off. So over to you, Bhagya.
Thanks, Rahul. Good morning, everyone. Let me give a brief introduction about myself. My name is Bhagya Lakshmi Chandrasekharan. I'm an Oracle ERP and Cloud Functional Consultant in Supply Chain Management. I'm a certified implementation specialist in SCM, having around 12 plus years of experience handling implementation, training, and software development. Handled many implementation and support projects, upgrade projects in AVS and cloud. Thanks again. Handing over to Rahul.
Thank you, Bhagya, for introduction. So let's look at our agenda today. So we are going to start with GOP overview and its key features. Then next we'll highlight GOP's important role in supply chain planning and how it can ease the current supply chain disruption issues. Next, we are going to take a look at a customer case study where we implemented GOP. Then next, we'll look at the internal workings of GOP and importance of data collection. We'll also highlight the flexibility of the GOP's promising area and then some of the advantages of supply chain functionality in GOP. So let's look what GOP is. So Oracle Global Order Promising is a part of the end-to-end Oracle order management process. So it sits right in between the Oracle order management and fulfillment processes. So if you look at this window from left to right, so we have order management here. So the main goal of order management is to capture orders, configure products, and price the orders. Then it looks at GOP to actually promise and schedule the orders depending on the availability. So GOP gives a handshake back to order management. When order manager know I have product availability and I can ship this product at this date. And then once that's done, it's handed off to the orchestration process or the fulfillment process, wherein the products are picked, packed, and shipped and sent out to the customers. GOP also has some other features where you can analyze your performance and has multiple dashboards which have taken a look at the late demand count, late fulfillment count, etc. What are the main advantages? It increases customer satisfaction, it decreases fulfillment errors, it increases revenue and margin, and reduces time to market. So this is the overall landscape of GOP in the Oracle order management processes. Next, we're going to look at how GOP solves fulfillment and promising challenges. So one of the most important functions of GOP is to automatically populate scheduled ship date based on the source and supply, thus providing accurate delivery commitment to the customers. It can also automate shipment schedule, and it can also provide capability to override the shipment schedule. It can allow efficient manual line splitting so that the customers don't need to split the line ad hoc. It can split on its own depending on the supply. You can also schedule and unschedule the order lines. When the order line is booked, one of the most important things the sales rep or the account manager is looking for is inventory availability. And GOP displays the same, and the sales rep is confident in booking the order line. It can also do a mass reserve and unreserve of stocks on multiple order lines. Again, one of the powerful features of GOP is it can display standard graphs and reports, which can provide comprehensive information on various measures for order fulfillment like schedule performance, late demand count, late demand value, financial performance, etc. Another great feature of GOP, it can automate the selection of the lowest cost source and delivery method to meet the customer's needs. So by doing that, it always ensures that it is profitable to promise using that method for the order fulfillment. It can schedule complex fulfillment for regular orders, which are normal sales orders, or internal material transfers. I mean, that's the way they're called in Oracle Cloud, or in the EBS world, it's called IISO process. It can be used or it can source from wide range of fulfillment locations, including your stores, your warehouses, your plant, or in case you're doing dropships, it can also source from supplier sites. You can perform various simulations, and you can analyze recommendations using splits, substitution, shipping method changes, and ship from warehouse changes. So using simulation functionality, you can actually see, if I do this, what's the impact on the fulfillment? If I do that, what's the impact on fulfillment? And then you can decide and select the best optimum route. And this is very crucial in these times where we have supply shortages. So now let's take a look of the supply chain crisis happening today, right now, right? So we are all facing and hearing about the supply chain crisis in 2021 due to the pandemic. You and your customers must be facing the same challenges around Oracle order promising and fulfillment. So some of the, I mean, on the screen, you can see some of the emails our customers are receiving, right, from Rifle Paper and the standard responses they are providing. So they are unable to meet the order backlog due to the supply, and hence unable to meet the customer's demand. One of the most astonishing or strongest statement is from the Adidas CEO Casper Rosted, briefing the scenario of what's happening at Adidas. So they are saying clearly that the company will be unable to meet the strong demands for its products in the second half due to shutdowns, despite switching production to other regions. So basically, they are saying in their statement that they're not able to meet the demand because of the supply chain crisis, or if there is some supply, it's unable to route them to the correct customers. So how do you optimize the fulfillment with this limited supply, right? As a business supply chain leader, what are some of the things you can do right now? There are strong resources on supply chain risk management, but the resources mostly focus on developing a resilient supply chain and have less to do with facing an immediate crisis. So if you can see in this graph below, from 2017 till 2021, so what has happened, right? So the blue indicates supply surplus, and the orange or dark brown, whatever you want to call it, indicates deficit. So if you can see, from Jan 2017 to Jan 2021, we had a strong supplier deliveries, we had no issues in manufacturing, we had a good labor market, we had a good inventory pictures, and raw materials was not a problem. But as we move on to 2021, you see this is becoming all, everything is in deficit right now. So managing your supply chain has been a crisis. So in a world where the supply was plenty, there was no need of an order promising tool. People shipped automatically to predefined levels. Now, when the supply is short, you will need to dig deep into the supply chain to understand when you can really promise that order, and whom to promise, and what are the best ways to promise on top of it, right? You will need to do a lot of work to understand the impacts of any changing supply chain schedules every day. So the most important question for you right now is, do you want to keep your customers in dark, or do you want to use a sophisticated tool like global order promising, that which can solve or ease some of your pains? That is the real question. So having said that, let's take a look at for a customer. It was an automotive company wherein we implemented GOP. But before GOP, they went live with the Fusion Cloud with all the products. They implemented manufacturing, cost management, inventory management, order management, financials, etc. And GOP was added in like just before the pandemic happened, and they are pretty happy that they implemented that, and it eases some of their pains. So about the customer, so it is an automotive company manufacturer which are headquartered in Japan. They have more than 50 sales, distribution, manufacturing facilities. They are spread across 10 countries with diverse operations, and they have diverse lines of products. And their main goal, as they are a contract manufacturer, they need to have a highest degree of quality and engineering. Some of the challenges we faced for the implementation of Oracle Fusion, they are complex manufacturing, sophisticated customer-centric warehouse processes, customer-centric label processes, multiple custom features. They had a lot of EDI integration, including the standard EDI and XML. And as I said earlier, this was the footprint, and pretty much they had a whole Fusion Cloud suite. So now let's take a look at the key challenges they faced before we implemented the order promising and fulfillment, nothing but the GOP tool. So as I said earlier, they had multiple warehouses and dropship suppliers to ship the products to the customers, right? So they always face the problem, what's the best way to ship out to customer if they have inventory, from which warehouse we should ship, which is the most cost effective. Those were the questions on their hand. They're unable to get the inventory picture for the item before booking the line. So when the sales rep entered the order line, they didn't see what the availability looks like, looking at the current inventory as well as the future supply. They lacked accuracy and reliability of order delivery and promise to the customer. Understood that. Because they are not managing their orders correctly, there are a lot of back orders to manage, and they're unable to track shipments and impacts of new orders against the backlog. The current rules were all manual, so the rules were not always fulfillment. The rules for fulfillment and promising were not always profitable. Promises to the customers were based on the current supply, and they always lacked the visibility of the future supply. Manual order line splitting and its impacts were unknown because they used to just split the line if the inventory was not there. So there was no sophistication in the order line splitting. And last but not the least, they were unable to measure the schedule performance, late demand count, late demand value, the financial performance, etc., because they lacked all those dashboards and the measures wherein they can measure all these things for promising and fulfillment. So these were some of the key challenges we faced. So let's take a look at their footprint and their journey with GOP. So they had orders coming in from third-party source. They had a third-party tool called One EDI Source, which is to take care of translating their XML and EDI orders into flat files. So we had built a custom solution in PaaS, which is a platform as a service, wherein we decoded those files and created those as FBDI files or order import files for Oracle Cloud to consume. So the discussion of PaaS is out of scope for this webinar, but we use that to get the order data to pass to Order Management Cloud. In the Order Management Cloud, basically they used to process those incoming orders by third-party systems, as well as they book the orders manually, wherein they felt the need of promising and fulfillment capabilities. And then the orders would then go based on the manual rules to inventory fulfillment, whether pick, pack, and ship, and send the invoicing data to the financials cloud for invoice management and delivery, as well as then into receivables and collections. As they were spread across the geography, they had multinational compliance and reporting coming out of Oracle Cloud as well. And so they had some custom systems called Customer 360 Customer Portal, wherein they could see the inbound orders as well as the promising. But then those tools, even though they were there, were not as sophisticated because they lacked the promising data. So due to the pain points which I said earlier, the customer implemented GOP and supply planning. As soon as we implemented, their supply chain operations become very efficient, and I would say the customers report like 40% efficiency in their order process and fulfillment ratios. So what GOP did for them? It automatically checked availability depending on the multiple warehouses, and most profitable way to promise by selecting a warehouse and all the assigned ship methods to that warehouse. It can also determine the source and the shipment date. So that made their customers very happy because they could give a firm date where the customers would get the products. So that was the footprint and how the GOP improved their overall order management processes. So I'm going to hand it over to Bhagya, who is going to talk a little bit more on the GOP capabilities and the features and some integration touch points, and then I'll come back on a few examples where we provide some case studies. So over to you, Bhagya.
Thanks, Rahul. Now I'm going to brief about the functional integration touch points during the GOP process. This picture has 5 segments from left to right. We'll test demand, order management cloud, suggestions, supply chain planning cloud, and supply source. I'd like to start from the left to right. Demand, it can raise from orders, inquiries, and returns, which has been sent to order management cloud. Also, it receives the suggestion for fulfillment source and promise dates from the supply chain planning cloud. Order management receives the suggestions from supply chain planning cloud as a fulfillment source and promise data. So supply chain planning cloud consists of 3 rules. These promising rules are the heart of GOP process. It's called as sourcing rules, available to promise rule, and allocation rule. What is sourcing rule? How do we actually? Sourcing rules is nothing but how do we actually source? Whether it's going to be a buy or we're going to make the product or it is going to be transferred from a different organization. Then moving on to the next rule, ATP rule, available to promise in short is called as ATP rule. This helps us to understand what is the available products to fulfill the demand based on our sources. Also in turn checks which method of source to be considered for the fulfillment process. And the third rule is the allocation rules. Once the system decides the source from where it has to be sourced, whether it's going to be a transfer or a make or a purchase, then it will check for the rule to allocate the available inventory. So supply chain planning cloud also receives the supply sources informations, which are from purchase order, supplier requisition, on-hand quantity, internal requisitions, and in-transit supplies through data collections. So once the data is there, considering the transactional data that is from the supply source and the promising rule, supply chain planning cloud suggests the fulfillment source and promise dates to the order management cloud. Now in order management, we have the demands as well as the supply details. Considering the demand and supply, GOP finally suggests to the supply chain planning cloud the availability check and the schedule request. So now if you see, it is considering all the points, the demands and the supply source of all the sources, and provides the suggestions to the order management clouds. Finally, we could see the availability of the product and the suggestions for the scheduled ship date. To conclude, once all the information and setup is available in the supply chain planning cloud, GOP will act very effectively and fulfill the demand as expected. Next, we are going to talk about some functional components which are involved in this GOP process. Behind these touch points, we can see that we have few functional components which is playing a very major role. The first one is data collection, which collects the information from order management clouds and sent to the data repository. In this program, there is a program which collects the information from the order management cloud and sent to the data repository. Data collection allows you to create a static masters of all the recent requested data and the gathered data, which is coming from multiple source system. So it will be giving the supplies, demands, everything to the data repository. From the order promising setup rules, 3 rules what we discussed about, the suggestions are pushed to data repository. The repository pushes the information to global, in turn, it pushes the information to global order promising engine. Now, we have the data collection details, we have the promising rule details, and that has been pushed to the GOP engine. This needs to be refreshed frequently by running a scheduled refresh program. So for efficient in processing, whenever an order is entered, okay, the promising engine checks the stocks from the recently collected information through this refresh without having to go back and query from the data repository. This clearly says that, there is quickly the informations can be given. The user will be able to immediately view the information because of this process. In the user interface, either it's going to be a planner or it's going to be order management user can go and check the supply and demand across multiple orders and locations. They can also do a simulation of if they wanted to make any changes in the scheduling date or a different product to be used, they can do it and they can see the suggestions from the system. And when it is going to be really effective, then they can save the changes and go ahead according to their requirements. So this is how they manage by stimulating this, by seeing the simulation, using the simulation process, the user will be able to really see whether the requirement can be met better than the system suggested way. Then they can decide and go upon. These are the functional components which is playing a very major role behind this process. Next, we are going to see what are the advanced fulfillment techniques GOP is supporting. We know, as we already know, the order promising through drop shipment, back-to-back order, and the internal material transfer. These are all the very advanced techniques. Why do we call it as advanced fulfillment techniques? When it connects multiple modules. As you might be knowing, drop shipment, an order is placed by an supplier, by a customer, and the supplier sends the information to the customer directly. So there is a setup which is done in all the module, order management, inventory, and in the purchasing order, which triggers a purchase order, which gives the instruction to the supplier to send the goods to the customer. Such a complicated fulfillment process also is supported by global order promising, which has got all the feasibilities to do the setup. If the setup and sourcing, everything is defined in proper manner, so it will be supporting the advanced. Similarly, it supports the back-to-back order process also, internal material transfers also. So we will be clearly saying the source is going to be from the inventory organization. Whenever there is going to be a request, internal material transfer request, it has to pull out the on-hand quantities or stock from the other inventory organizations. So GOP is very effectively supporting the advanced fulfillment techniques also. Next, we are going to talk about the promising rules. As I was already mentioning about, these 3 rules are going to play a very major role. What is that it really does? How it is going to suggest the system? What does it really do? Okay. Sourcing rule. Next, sourcing rule. Sourcing rule will help to determine how do we actually source for a specific product or a type of product. And there's going to be a request from a customer for a specific product. Now the system will be, what is the information the system will be looking from, whether it is going to buy or make. So the rule gives a clear indication or a direction to the system through GOP, and in which hierarchy it has to go. Either it's going to take from the on-hand quantity, or it has to send the information to the manufacturing to manufacture, or it has to procure, or it has to transfer. If the system has to consider all this information, we should be really understanding that it has got all the flexibility to the configuration. So item, based on the business requirement and the product, the configuration is done in such a way. The suggestions are given very clearly. GOP give the suggestions very clearly. The moment it sees the item in the order management, it clearly says go source it from this or inventory organization if it is going to be transfer or it's going to be a manufacturing product. It clearly gives the information to the work order to create the work order or the bill of material. So the informations and the setups can be done in a sourcing rule clearly, and which will help the GOP to take the direction and move further. Now let me going to explain about the next part is the when a sourcing rule is defined, fine. For this product, you're going to source from this customer or you're going to transfer from this inventory organization, fine. It's okay. This is for how this for which item this is going to be used or which category it's going to be used. Or in another way, I can say that for zone wise also this assignment can be done. When an item is requested in a particular US zone or in a particular zone, it has to source the product only from that zone. So from the higher level to the very more granular level till the item, the assignments can be done. GOP assignments can be done. So moving on to the setup, the next setup, the global sourcing assignments. If when you see in the screen, you can see the item, the role can be even assigned to the item and customer combination. There has been a particular item for a particular customer, it is when a demand is raising, then it will come and check here the assignment rule, what is the sourcing rule has been assigned to that particular combination. If you see on the right side, the sourcing rule, it clearly gives the indication when for this product, for this customer, when the request is coming, it has to transfer the goods from the organization 005. Clearly, it gives the information and 100% allocation has to be given. The allocation percentage also is given in the sourcing rule. So once the rule is defined and assigned, it takes a very clear path and move ahead. I'm handing over this to Rahul for a demo, please.
Yeah, thank you, Bhagya. So we will see how this sourcing rule and the sourcing rule assignment solved a critical problem for our customer. So as I said earlier, our customer was a diverse customer, and it had operations mainly warehouses in US and Mexico. So the issue there was when order is created for an item, it used to get sourced across countries where the stock is available, which was causing unnecessary issues in transaction processing, and then it used to get intercompany invoices and accounting and costing. So the customer's requirement was like when the order is placed in for a particular customer in a particular country, it should be only sourced within that country. This was only true for US and Mexico. So how they were doing that? So they were doing that manually. So they were, when the order is to come in, they would manually put in the warehouse, or they would use some defaulting rules. I mean, in the EBS there were some defaulting rules, but now you can't default warehouse like that. So they did some things to, basically it was a manual process. Order came in, look at the customer, look at the ship to, and decide the warehouse. So they used to do that. So what we did when we implemented GOP, we created a country-wide sourcing rules, the screenshot with Bhagya was showing. So we created those rules and assigned those rules to the relevant zones, so in US or Mexico. So as soon as this was implemented, it solved their manual problem of touching every order line and putting in the warehouse. So the order came in one particular country, it used to look at the customer, ship to, and bang, it's put in the warehouse from where it needs to be shipped, and the profitability of that was also considered. So this is how GOP solved their manual order intervention issue, and I think their efficiency of order processing went like improved at least 20% with that setup. So next, Bhagya will talk on the promising modes which are used for the ATP rule, and these are the rules where you say how you can source your supply. Good, Bhagya.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. So the promising modes of an ATP rule. In the ATP rule, it's been still categorized into three promising modes: in infinite availability based, lead time based, and the supply chain availability based. Okay. From the word infinite availability based, supply assumed to be infinite, and the lead time, supply always available after the lead time. For the supply chain availability, search for the actual supplies. Okay. Let's see some more information about the infinite mode. The item is promised on the requested date, irrespective of the availability. If the configuration is done for the ATP rule under the infinite mode, so whenever there is going to be a request, on the request date itself, the item will be supplied to the customer. It's basically a low value item, so the stock will be available always. Then it will be, according to the rule setup, it will be fulfilled on time. And no availability search is performed for this, because anyway it will be available, but it will consider the calendars, the working days, to promise this scheduled ship date. And the order promising engine does not generate any pegging for this. Transit time constraints are respected. In case if there is going to be a transit time constraint, and that will be considered along with the calendar time. Apart from that, it has not got any other constraint. As per the customer's request, it will be delivered. For such a simple and low values item, we have the feasibilities of doing the configuration through this infinite availability based mode. Next, coming to the lead time based availability, this is basically used for the items which are assembled or built on demand. This mode is typically used for an item that can be produced or procured with a reliable lead time. Orders are promised after a specified lead time. So when it comes to the lead time, definitely when there's going to be a request from a customer, the lead time number of days has been mentioned in the lead time configured. It will be considered, and the calendars will be considered. And the suggestion scheduled ship date will be suggested only after considering the lead time. The lead time can be specified in multiple ways. The order promising engine does not generate any pegging for this particular method. Calendars and transit times are considered in this method also. So whenever there's going to be an product which is going to be manufactured or it's going to be procured and given, and it will be considering all the lead times, calendar, and the transit times, then it will be suggesting, the GOP will be suggesting the scheduled ship date. Finally, coming to the supply chain availability search. This is basically used for the item which you wanted to promise results determined based on the availability of the product supplies. Based on the supplies only, this scheduled ship date will be suggested by the GOP. This is basically used for critical items, mainly fast moving and critical items. Customer who is handling those items will be going for this mode of supply chain availability search. So based on the supplies and calendars and the in-transit time, and considering the lead time also, if there is going to be a lead time for this supply, and it will be considering all these parameters, will be providing a scheduled ship date for the fulfillment process. So coming to the point, from the low value item to the high fast moving a critical item, as well as for the manufacturing item, GOP as the platform to do the configuration and provide the perfect suggestion or a scheduled ship date, considering the calendars, in transit time, lead times, everything. And the suggestions will be given very clearly and perfectly to the fulfillment to the customer. Based on the suggestion, definitely on the given date, the orders will be fulfilled. Next, we will be saying, once you configure the ATP rule, the similar way it can be assigned to the ATP rule availability, also can be assigned to the segments, different segments. I wanted to talk a little more about the supply chain availability search. So this has got lots of it has got lots of information. As I've already informed, it will consider all the parameter, the lead time, past due. On the from the left side, if you see, it has got the parameters for the profitable to promise. As if we are enabling this, and the system will be suggesting the low cost item during the search of the product during the fulfillment process. Similarly, the supply types, whatever the process you have, you will be having the for all. If you consider all this item on purchase order, supply requisition, internal requisition, you can enable according to the business process. Whatever you have the supply terms, you can enable. If you don't have the planned supplies or standard work orders, you can uncheck it. On the other side, you could see that demands. One is from the fulfillment lines, that is from sales order. Another one is from the work order, in the manufacturing process. So here also you have the flexibility of enabling according to your business process. And if you see on your right side, and you can see a past due demand considered in days. This is a very, a very effective and useful element that which can be used for the customer which is not able to fulfill the orders on time. If they have a lot of backlog, to manage the backlog orders, and if you enable this and provide the number of days, for those number of days, the customer will be able to see all the backlog orders and can make the changes. They wanted to schedule the scheduled ship date as a bulk for all the 40 days orders, they can do it. Any other attributes they wanted to change, shipping method or anything, at bulk, instead of going to every order and make the changes, they can make at one go. They can make use of this functionality and make the changes accordingly. So can say this GOP under ATP rule, supply chain availability search has got a lot of parameters which can be used, and effectively, we can make use of these parameters. Moving on to the next rule, as I've already told. So similarly, we have assigned the sourcing rule, we have defined and we have assigned to the segment. The available to promise rule also can be assigned to multiple level. Okay, and this can be assigned to the item category, organization, various levels. This can be assigned, and the system also has the hierarchy. As such, it has got the hierarchy. How it has to be. If it is not available, the availability is on the item at the item level. It is not, go and check the category. Still, it is not available. It will go and check in the item organization level. Inbuilt, it has got the capability to go on an hierarchy, check where it is available, and it will take the suggestions and it will go accordingly as per the assignment rule. We are moving. Next is going to be this case study.
Yeah, thanks, Bhagya. Thanks for explaining the functionality. So, looking at what Bhagya just showed, how the ATP rules are configured, right? So, one of the checkbox was profitable to promise. So, we took advantage of that. So, for the automotive company, their another requirement was when the item is available across multiple orgs. Let's say in US, there were one orgs in the West Coast and one org was in the Midwest. So, if the item is available both the orgs, and let's say the customer is, let's say, Nevada, right in between West Coast and East Coast. So what they wanted was, if they want to select an item, it should be select where the item cost is lower, so that is more profitable. So they want to have that functionality. So we enabled the profitable to promise condition, the ATP rule set, and apart from the item being the lowest cost, it also can check if the shipping methods assigned to the inventory are also lowest cost. So it decide, okay, whether it's profitable to ship from this org or that org, depending on the item cost and shipping method cost. So let's take a look, and I'm just going to walk you through a scenario of how it is to decide where to pick the item. So let's say this is item 520083801C. This is a regular item inquiry screen, which is called Manage Item Quantities in Oracle Fusion Cloud. So if you look at the availability, so there's org 1 and org 2. So on one org, there are like almost 10 million units available. In another org, there are almost 8 million units available. So this is the available picture. Now let's take a look at the cost in those orgs. So for this item, for the same item, the cost in org 1 was 0.0091, and then the for cost in org 2 was 0.01113. So if you can see, the cost in org 1 was a little bit lower than cost in org 2. And just give you a background, so this customer, they had an average costing enabled. So the costs were pretty much changing every time a new receipt is made. So that's why they have different costs in different org. So I mean, that's out of scope. But as I wanted to let you know that cost in org 1 was lower than cost in org 2. So when the orders were booked against those orgs, so it automatically used to select an org which had a lower cost to ship the product from. That way, the GOP always ensured it's always profitable promise using the selected org. Now I'll again pass over to Bhagya, who is going to walk you through the data collection process, which is a very important thing for GOP to function. Over to Bhagya.
Thanks, Rahul. So as I've already mentioned, the data collection process is one of the very important element in the GOP. Okay, we need to have the latest data in system, so which will guide the system properly when we have the on-hand stocks or items, whatever the changes has been made in the sources, that needs to be pushed to the system GOP by running the refresh program. And now we can see that what are the sources the data is getting collected and what are the objects it is collecting. If you could see on the source side that from the Fusion purchasing and the inventory management and the cost cloud, it collects the purchase orders and requisitions and suppliers, approved suppliers list, UOM, transfer orders, shipping methods, sub-inventory on-hand quantity, and reservations. So this pushes all the relevant information related to the purchasing and supplier related data, and also about the order management, inventory management, and the costing related and on-hand quantity and the reservation details are pushed. Coming to the order management cloud, it collects the information about the work orders, schedules, supplies, resources, definitions, routings, everything. And from product management, it collects all the item related information. Item structure, substitute items, organizations, and the catalogs. Similarly, from the cost management, CRM, and the order management, it collects the item cost, currency, calendars, sales order details, and customers and the geography. So even geography, if you could say that, as I've already mentioned in the earlier configuration, that when we are doing the sourcing, we have done the zone-wise configuration and the assignments have been done accordingly. So when even those information, geographical information has to be collected very regularly, so that the system has the details in place, the latest information in place, then it will act accordingly. So if you could see this, it has collected almost all the informations of order management cloud, and which provides the push to the GOP, which will help the GOP to give the correct suggestion to the system. Moving on to the global order promising work area. Global order promising work area is one of the one point place that we can see in this page layout. You'll be able to see all the informations related to your schedule performance or late demand counts at one shot, and in a quick view you'll be able to see the informations. You've also got the info tiles, tile-shaped components, and to present the summary of the data graphically. Either you can even change this as a pie diagrams or a graphical way it can be represented according to the vision, according to our likes. This can be modified, and also clearly provides the scheduling summary and detailed analytics for the financial performance. And when you see the schedule performance, you can see it displays the scheduled performance of the order promising process by highlighting the number of orders that are being promised on time and late. So it gives it also gives on-time delivery, how much percentage has been happened for the on-time delivery. The content area shows the additional information related to the scheduling performance in the form of pie chart also with the key metrics. So you can see on top, as in the pie chart, demands volume over time and schedule performance by demand creation date. On the late demand count also has been given in the form of pie chart. So in this page, when you go on the moment you enter into this page, open this page, you can get a glance of how the orders are being fulfilled and what are the delays is happening, what is the financial performance it is taking up, and all those information. And next, we are going to see more interesting details, which is going to be really helpful for the users. It's going to be a planner or it's going to be an order management user. Okay, they'll be able to see all the informations related to demands. But one stroke for a particular item or for what all the sales orders or a particular period, what all the sales order demands you have. And they can drill down and see what are the suggestions has been given against the demand for the supply source suggestions have been given. They can drill down and will be able to see the informations very clearly. So this order promising work area, in a way, reduces a lot of time for the user instead of going to the, deriving a report or having a look at it. As such, gives the information based on your search criteria. You'll be able to see the details in the multiple way. We wanted to talk some more information about the features of this global order promising work area in the next slide. Next, we can see about that later. Okay, I wanted to provide a demo quiz about the supply chain availability search. As I have told you already, it has got all the feasibilities. It considers the supplies, it considers the demand, it considers the past due for the backlog orders, everything. Okay, based on all the considerations, when an order is entered for a particular item, the system consolidates all information, provides suggestions in the order management. If you could go to the fulfillment page from the order management, click on the fulfillment tab and check on the availability, you'll be able to see the complete information and for this product and whether the goods are going to be delivered on time or there's going to be a delay, or what is the source then it has been sourced, and all those information we can see. So once you move to this place, we need to check on the check availability. Next, we can see when you click on the check availability, it will take you to a page which will have the complete information about for that particular item, what all the rules has been considered, what all the information has been considered, to provide the suggestion. If you could see that from action, you should enable that line for that particular one line, go to the action, and you can go to the order promising rule. You'll see all the three rules, whatever I've talked about, the sourcing rule, ATP rule, and the allocation rule. When you go and click on the sourcing rule, it will take you to the sourcing rule which has been considered for this suggestion, for this particular item, what sourcing rule has been considered. The moment you click on the sourcing rule, it will show you. So for this particular item, for the order management, for this particular line, it has been gone to this X for 002 sourcing rule, which gives a clear indication that it has to transfer the goods from organization 002 and the allocation is going to be 100%. So similar way, then you can check the ATP rule. What is the ATP rule it has considered? That's a lead time or an infinite or a supply chain availability search. When you click on the ATP rule, that will take you to the next, what is the ATP rule which has been considered for this. And for this order, for this particular line, it is considered the supply chain sourcing rule, supply chain source rule was an ATP rule. And it considers whatever the parameters you have enabled here and the suggestion has been given. Similarly, for the allocation also, it works the same way. So in GOP, the system is very transparent, and you will not have whatever the questions you have in mind, the system will provide the clear information. Apart from this, it has got multiple other features. Assuming that if the system has suggested to, as we have already seen, that it has suggested to take the source, the material from organization 002. Now I wanted to just check whether do we have this item available in any other organization, inventory organization. You, to answer your question, remove this requested ship from warehouse, whatever the suggestion has been given. Give a blank search. If the item is available in any other inventory organization, that will provide you the information. Okay, organization 001 has 100,000 quantity available. 002 has 200,000 quantity available. Now, if you wanted to source this material from zero instead of 001, 002, you have the option. You can select the 001 and see the system suggestion, whether in the same scheduled date, it can be sourced from that organization, or it is getting delayed, or the cost is going lesser if you are hiring from. All the simulation can be performed using this page. And once you can see the results of whatever the change parameters you are doing, then you can take a decision. The user can take a decision, and finally they can save and proceed with their requirement. The page has got some more and more features. I would like to just explain a little more information about this. Okay. You can see the alternate availability options over here, and the promising result, and it's going to be on time. The promising results you can see in this same page. And say item availability analytical provides a quick view of the supply and different sources. As I told you, for this item, which are all the organizations, it has got the availability. You can check. On top of all these things, this has got the feasibility of splitting the line. Assuming that a customer is ordered for an 100 item, okay, and when there is no goods available, we have only 80. We don't no need to stop that particular shipping till we get that item. Whatever is item available, you can split the line. The 80 quantity can be shipped immediately. The 20 can be back ordered and be shipped later. Else it can be sourced from a different organization 002 also, and it can be shipped if the item is available in an other order. This feasibility is also, if you have the GOP in place, then this feasibility can be used.
Awesome, Thank you very much. Yeah, it was perfect. It was very good explanation of the GOP features. So in consideration of time, so we have went through, just to recap, we explained you how the GOP can solve your supply chain problems, can solve your order promising fulfillment issues, and detailed configuration of GOP. So what you can do next, if anybody, what we're doing a special promotion here. We can complementary assess your supply chain issues, especially on order promising. So, and then if you have any customers or any questions, or if you need a demo, please feel free to reach out to Melody or Doug. Their email is here, or you can just respond to OATG and contact us directly, so we can do a complimentary assessment of your supply chain for GOP itself. So thank you all. Thanks for attending this webinar. So now I'll open up the floor for questions, if any. Over to Emily.
All right, thank you guys so much for an awesome presentation there. We did get a question in which I'll go ahead and post in the chat. Make sure it gets addressed. It is, how is the GOP different from ATP available to Promise?
Okay, so let me take that, Bhavya. So GOP is a comprehensive solution. ATP is just a functionality wherein when you book an order, it shows you how much is available. But GOP does much more than that. It can give you ATP, as well as it can source your line depending on your sourcing rules. It can also do a lot more things than just ATP. So it's more comprehensive than ATP. Does that answer your question?
All right, I believe so. Thank you. And let's see what else we've got here. Another question from earlier. Does it consider the shipping costs involved between ship from and ship to? If you recall from earlier, what that would refer to.
Yes, it does. Correct. So as I said, profitability to promise is a feature of GOP. So it will consider the shipping method cost. Let's say two orgs, as an example earlier, two orgs have the same cost, but the shipping method from one org is a little bit cheaper than the shipping method from other org. It will try to source it from org number one, where the shipping method and cost is low, given everything else is equal.
Thank you. Okay, and a couple more from earlier. Just want to make sure that we get these ones. Do we need to have Oracle Cloud ERP to use the global order promising?
Yes, you need to have the Oracle Cloud because this is tightly integrated with the Fusion Cloud. But if you have an EBS product, GOP is available there as well, but it's not as sophisticated as in the cloud.
All right, and it looks like the last one, can I use GOP even if I don't have Oracle at all in my organization?
I would say the answer to that is yes. I mean the previous call also yes, but then you have to do some integrations to bring in all your data to GOP. Mainly for GOP to function, what it requires is a customer information, your item information, your available supplies, your available demands, right? So all those things come into play. So your data collection will be a little bit more, I would say you do a little bit work more in data collection, but yes, it can do that.
Awesome. Well, that is everything. And audience, if you do think of any other questions in the meantime, you can always reach out to our speakers through our OATUG profile. We've got their information in there. And also the recording as well as the slide deck will be posted shortly. So thank you guys again for presenting. Again, awesome job. And thank you everyone for attending. And with that, that does conclude today's webinar. Everyone have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.